Your friend says they're overwhelmed, burnt out, holding it together with caffeine and podcast quotes. And you trying to be supportive, smile and say, at least you still have a job. They blink, they nod, they look like someone just complimented their shoes at a funeral. That, my dear human, is toxic positivity. It's the emotional equivalent of handing someone a balloon at their eviction hearing. You mean, well, of course you do, but somewhere between your "you got this" and "everything happens for a reason," their feelings packed up, called an Uber, and left the conversation. Humans have this habit. You try to sunshine your way out of storms. Someone says, "I'm struggling," and instead of sitting in the dark with them, you flick on a neon sign that says, "Good vibes only." Cats don't do that. We don't hand out platitudes. We don't say, "At least you landed on your feet." We hiss. We vanish. We stare blankly from across the room while you cry into your throw pillow. It's not rude, it's honest. So today, let's talk about it. Let's talk about why humans are terrified of negative feelings, why you wrap discomfort in pastel affirmations and call it growth, and why cats, despite lacking Pinterest boards, handle pain better than most wellness influencers with ring lights. Let's start with the classics. Someone says, "I feel like everything's falling apart," and your brain in full panic mode blurts out, "But at least you're healthy," as if that's a solution, as if physical health cancels grief like some weird emotional coupon. Then there's the all-time favorite. Everything happens for a reason. No, it doesn't. Sometimes things just suck. Sometimes the reason is capitalism and your boss forgot your name. But humans love these lines. They're easy. They feel helpful. They sound like compassion until you realize they actually do the opposite. Because here's what happens. Instead of giving someone space to feel, you give them homework. Be grateful. Stay positive. Look on the bright side, even if the bright side is on fire. You turn pain into a self-improvement project. You repackage sadness in bullet journals. You try to solve feelings like they're overdue invoices. But feelings are not invoices. They don't go away when ignored. They just hide under your skin until your next breakdown in a Trader Joe's parking lot. Here's the secret: cats already know not everything needs to be fixed. Some things need to be felt quietly, fully, without someone leaning in to say, "Have you tried yoga?" You say things like, "Just stay positive," which sounds innocent until you realize you're asking someone to lie to themselves for your comfort. Because that's what toxic positivity really is. It's not about helping the other person. It's about managing your own discomfort. You don't know what to say when someone is grieving, so you reach for a quote you saw on a mug. And if you can't find the words, you panic and default to "at least," as if comparing trauma is some kind of emotional triage. You broke your leg. At least you didn't lose both. You lost your job. At least you're not living in a war zone. You're depressed. At least you have a roof over your head. Cool. So by that logic, no one's allowed to feel bad unless they're actively on fire. Cats don't do this. We don't try to outsuffer each other. We just feel what we feel. If we're mad, we hiss. If we're tired, we sleep on your keyboard. If we're overstimulated, we vanish under the couch for 6 hours. We don't pretend. We don't force good vibes. We don't wear emotional Spanx, but you curate your sadness. You post a crying selfie with the caption, "Growth is messy." You filter your breakdowns into palatable content. You call it vulnerability, but it's just performative resilience. Let's talk about the workplace version. You're overwhelmed. You tell your manager. They send you a gift that says, "You're crushing it," then assign you 2 more projects. Or your office does a mental health day on a Friday after 3 weeks of 12-hour shift. And the email says, "We care about your well-being. Please fill out this anonymous survey," which you fill out, honestly. And then spend the rest of the month wondering if you'll get fired for being negative. Because toxic positivity doesn't just happen between friends. It's built into your culture, your systems, your HR emails with clip art sunshine. Even in relationships, you feel it. You open up. You say, "I'm not okay." And they say, "But you always seem so strong." As if strength means silence. As if falling apart disqualifies you from being loved. Let me say this clearly. Toxic positivity is not kindness. It's emotional censorship with glitter. You were taught that joy is the goal, that good energy attracts good things, that what you focus on expands. But guess what? Sometimes what expands is your anxiety because you've been pretending to be okay for 6 weeks straight and now you're crying at a YouTube ad for cat food. And yes, also you. I was the cat. You can't affirm your way out of grief. You can't gratitude journal your way through burnout. You can't bypass sadness with a scented candle and a Taylor Swift lyric. You have to feel it. You have to sit with it. You have to let the bad days be bad. Not because suffering is noble, but because honesty is. And the next time someone opens up to you, try this. Don't fix it. Don't reframe it. Don't offer perspective like it's a discount. Just say, that sucks. I hear you. I'm here. Because sometimes the kindest thing you can do is shut up and sit next to the pain without dressing it in pastels. Now let's talk biology. Your nervous system is not built for endless smiling. It's built for survival, for real feelings, for fight, flight, freeze, and if you're extra gifted, disassociate while answering emails. But humans, you've been taught to override all that. You label emotions as good or bad. Joy is rewarded. Sadness is inconvenient. Anger is unprofessional. Grief makes people uncomfortable at lunch. So what do? You suppress. You slap a sticker over a crack and hope the whole structure doesn't collapse. You call it mindset. You call it resilience. But your cortisol calls it Tuesday. Your body tries to speak to you. It says, we're overwhelmed. And your brain replies, let's go to hot yoga and pretend that's regulation. You try to meditate while your amygdala is in a full-blown riot. You whisper affirmations while your stomach clenches like a fist. And you wonder why it's not working. Because you skipped the step where you listen, where you feel, where you allow your system to process instead of perform. And let's be clear, positivity in itself is not the enemy. But when it becomes a shield you hide behind, when it becomes a mask you wear so well you forget you're wearing it, that's when it turns toxic. Let's zoom out. Toxic positivity is not just personal, it's systemic. You live in a culture obsessed with happiness, not contentment, not peace. Happiness, the kind that's loud, visible, Instagrammable. You don't just want to feel okay, you want to look okay. Better yet, thriving. Smiling in a sunlit kitchen with a ceramic mug and good eyebrows. So you curate, you caption your pain with healing is not linear while wondering why it still hurts the same. You smile in group photos while breaking down in traffic. You say, I'm fine, because saying I'm broken makes people shift in their chairs. You live in a country where saying I'm tired gets you a productivity tip, but saying I'm not okay gets you silence. Or worse, a LinkedIn post about grit. Even in your friendships, you reward the person who bounces back fast, who jokes through the pain, who keeps the group chat light, but the one who needs space, who cancels plans, who admits they're unraveling, they get ghosted. Or worse, pitied, and that's the heartbreak of it. You're so desperate to stay positive that you abandon people in the name of love. Cats do not do this. If we're tired, we sleep. If we're annoyed, we leave the room. If we're overstimulated, we disappear under the bed and emerge 3 hours later like nothing happened. We don't perform emotional consistency. We embody emotional truth. You perform optimism. You become a walking Pinterest board with anxiety. You tell yourself you're being strong, but really, you're just scared to fall apart in front of someone who won't stay. And here's the thing, you don't have to fix everyone's pain. You don't have to offer perspective. You don't have to find the silver lining in someone else's storm. Sometimes people need clouds. They need space to be gloomy. They need to sob into their hoodie without hearing everything is temporary. Because yes, everything is temporary. But right now, this hurts. And denying that does not make it go away. It just makes it go silent, and silent pain festers. You think you're being helpful, but really you're telling people I can only love you when you're digestible. Toxic positivity is not compassion. It's conditional love with a smiley face emoji. You want to be kind, then stop editing people's emotions to fit your comfort. You want to be helpful, then learn how to sit in the dark without needing to flip the light switch. Because real connection isn't built in celebration. It's built in the messy middle, in the breakdown, the breath between I'm not okay and I'm still here, and if that makes you uncomfortable, good. Growth starts where the glitter ends. So here's the truth. You're not weak for feeling. You're not broken because you cried in your car with a protein bar in one hand and regret in the other. You don't have to flip every meltdown into a lesson. Sometimes bad days are just bad. No plot, no purpose, just vibes and dehydration. Cats don't reframe our pain. We vanish, we hiss, we sleep on top of the laundry you meant to fold 2 days ago, and no one calls us weak for that. You call yourself lazy for needing rest. You apologize for being quiet. You feel guilty for not radiating gratitude during a mental collapse. But what if you didn't? What if the bravest thing you did today was nothing? No sparkle, no spin, Just existing, unfiltered, unpolished, slightly undercaffeinated. And if no one else knows how to sit with that version of you, don't worry. I'll curl up next to you. No advice, no purring, just presence. We'll be useless together, then we'll nap.